What is up? This is the Intensely Average Male. I hope all is well with you today. I recently took a trip with my son into Niagara Falls. But I wanted to tell you a quick story about our walking back to our car. I was approached by a man who led out by saying, "Oh boy, I'm glad that you don't mind being approached by a black man." And I kind of gave him the side face and said, "Well, what are you talking about? Can't you tell that I'm black too?" And try to ease him a little bit, and we kind of chuckled together. And he began to tell me a story about how he was treated very poorly by a man that called him the N-word, and I just felt terrible for the guy. And so I just encouraged him by saying, look, people that treat people that way have many gods and they're living for one world. And people that have many gods living for one world are going to be fearful, they're going to be controlling, they're going to be jerks because they only have one world to live for and they want to keep it that way. So he tells me the story and I felt compassion for him. And then he began to tell me how he just got out of jail and he was in need of a few dollars, and it was sort of a giveaway when he said, you know, $20 may not mean a lot to you, but it means a lot to me. And I've been around the block a few times. I'm kind of like, okay. So I knew that he was lying to me about 10 seconds into his 46-second spiel. But I felt compassion for him because I know that if he's asking for money this way, he's the one being robbed. And in a sense, I knew he needed to hear something. So as we were talking, he mentioned something about wearing a cross and being a Christian, and I felt led to just speak into that a bit. And so I asked him a question about his faith. He's just sort of fumbled it. And so what I did was I asked my son to grab me $20 that we had set aside for the toll. And he grabbed me the $20 and I handed it to him. And I said, listen, man, may I share something with you real quick, just in case maybe you've never heard it before? Not assuming that he understood the greatest story ever told and the greatest news ever heard. And I just said, hey, listen, man, I want you to know what the gospel is, and here's how I would describe it to you. On my best day, if I'm really on point, I might take a bullet for you. And he kind of said, oh, okay, yeah, I kind of get that. And I said, no, listen. On my best day ever, maybe I would take a bullet for you. A stranger, someone I don't know. But I would not, and I pointed inside the truck at my son who was playing his video game. I said, but I would not kill my son to save your life. And he seemed a little taken back at first, but then it processed and he understood what I was saying. And he kind of just said, yeah, of course. And I said, no. I want you to understand, I would not kill my son to save your life. And on my best day, I might take a bullet, but I would not kill my son to save your life. And he agreed. He said, absolutely. Then I just looked him in the eyes. I could tell that there were some tears there. And I said, listen, but that's what the Father did for you through his son, Jesus. And then I continued by saying, what we need to understand about the gospel is this, that Jesus didn't come to become popular, that Jesus didn't come to be a martyr. Jesus came to obey his Father to save the world. That it wasn't that Jesus took a bullet for you, it was that the Father killed his son to save convicts like you and me. And I could tell that he was floored, as I have been floored many, many times over. If I look at my life and I look at my sin and I look at my stupidity and realize that God so loved me that he gave his son to save my life from eternity in hell. I'm floored by that too. And I could tell in this moment that he was floored also. And as I finished the story, he started to look over my shoulder and his eyes began to dart. And I realized, okay, I think I'm losing him. And so I said, man, I just hope you have a great day and I hope you consider what I've shared with you. And so he moved on, and I was approached by the security guard who confirmed, hey, what did he say to you? He's been doing this for many, many years. And I just encouraged them that I understood that. And I felt that he needed the money more than me, because ultimately he's the one that's being robbed if he's asking for money and not working for it. So I wanted to just share that quick story with you. And I wanted to remind you that it was not because of our good works that Christ came and that we were such wonderful people that he killed his son to save us. It was that God's love was so strong and that his compassion was so large that he gave his only son, who was perfect and righteous in all of his ways, to save convicts like you and me, liars like you and I, thieves like you and me, adulterers like you and me. And because of that, he forgives us of all of our sins, that we might be freed from the bondage of sin. Bondage just means like handcuffs. You're freed from those handcuffs, and now because of Christ in you, we have the ability to walk in freedom from being convicts. Now today, I've got a whole workday ahead of me, and I have to continue to remind myself of something. I'm no longer a slave. I'm no longer a slave to myself. I'm no longer a slave to this world, and I'm no longer living for this world. Yeah, I may be intensely average, like this guy walking toward me right now. Being made in the image of God makes me extraordinary. It's not that I'm so wonderful, it's that the one who created me is. So when I realize that, I take ownership of the fact that I'm called to bear his image, I'm called to be his man. And I hope that you realize that today too. Have a great day today, guys. Let's go get it.